When we talk about the incredible growth and potential of AI companies, we often hear about their groundbreaking applications, self-driving cars, medical diagnostics, or sophisticated financial models. But what truly underpins all this innovation? At its core, much of modern AI relies on a surprisingly simple, yet powerful, ability: pattern recognition. For instance, what does it actually mean for a computer to recognize this handwritten digit 3? We, as humans, see a 3. We instantly understand its shape, its curves, its identity. But a computer doesn't see in the same way. It doesn't have eyes or intuition. So, how does it bridge this gap from raw visual data to understanding? To truly grasp the value and potential of the AI companies driving today's market, we need to look under the hood. Understanding these fundamental mechanisms isn't just for engineers, it's crucial for anyone evaluating the future of technology and investment. Today, we're diving deep into the very first step: how AI sees and understands simple data, using our handwritten 3 as our guide. This foundational knowledge will empower you to better assess the innovations and claims of the AI sector. Let's start with what a computer does see. It doesn't see a graceful curve or a sharp corner. Instead, it sees a grid of numbers. Each tiny square, each pixel, is just a numerical value representing its brightness or color. Imagine our 3 is drawn on a small 28 by 28 pixel canvas. That's 784 individual pixels. For a computer, this image is simply a long list of 784 numbers. A dark pixel might be a high number, say 0.9, and a light pixel a low number, like 0.1. This list of numbers is what we call an NLT, span style equals